Hello, esteemed gentlemen. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. Now pause. Let that sink in. Because when a Sigma male walks into the room, it's not noise that announces him, it's silence. But it's the kind of silence that makes people check their phones, clear their throats, and suddenly wonder if their life choices were that smart after all. Here's a fact. According to behavioral psychology, humans instinctively sense power not just through what a person says, but through what they refuse to say. And this is exactly why Sigma males confuse the masses and captivate the few who are sharp enough to notice. They don't wear their aura like a billboard. They wear it like armor, not loud, not needy, just present, quietly bending the room around them. Today, we're not talking about charm, popularity, or some fake social alpha flex. No. We're talking about something far rarer. The kind of presence that makes even confident people wonder, why do I suddenly feel like the student when this guy hasn't even spoken? So sit tight. Because what you're about to learn isn't what you'll find in your typical how-to-be mysterious self-help fluff. This is the raw truth behind why Sigma males have the kind of aura you can't copy, fake, or sell in a masterclass. And trust me, if you think it's just quiet confidence, you're already 5 chapters behind. Number 1. They force you to confront your own emptiness. When a Sigma male walks into a room, something strange happens. People feel slightly unsettled, but they can't explain why. It's not because he's rude or hostile. In fact, most times he's calm, polite, and quiet. But his silence, his detached nature, and his refusal to play the usual social games make people start looking inward, whether they realize it or not. People suddenly notice their own insecurities floating to the surface. The Sigma male isn't judging them, but his very presence forces them to judge themselves. Most people spend their lives distracting themselves from their emptiness. They fill their days with noise, entertainment, social validation, and pointless conversations just to avoid facing the fact that they don't really know who they are without all those distractions. But when a Sigma male shows up, he's not participating in that circus. He's comfortable in his own silence, comfortable with not being liked, comfortable standing apart. And because of that, people feel exposed. They realize they're performing, chasing approval, or running from something within. Meanwhile, this guy is just standing there, completely fine without applause. And that's what scares them. They're used to being the center of attention, or they're used to others craving their approval. But Sigma males flip the script without even trying. They don't flatter, they don't seek validation, and they definitely don't beg for attention. Instead, they force others to feel the weight of their own emptiness. Suddenly, people feel like frauds wearing social masks, while this man in front of them radiates something painfully rare: authenticity. It's not loud, it's not flashy, and it's not designed to impress anyone. But it hits people hard, because deep down, they know they wouldn't survive alone with their thoughts the way this guy does every single day. Sigma males don't just carry an aura. They expose the places where your confidence was fake, where your strength was borrowed, and where your identity was just a reflection of other people's opinions. That's why people walk away shaken, not because the Sigma male attacked them, but because he never gave them anything fake to hide behind. Number 2. They carry the weight of secrets people can't handle. Sigma males walk around with truths most people would collapse under. They've seen through the games people play for power, the lies we tell ourselves to survive, and the quiet desperation behind society's loud smiles. But they don't talk about it to sound deep or mysterious. They carry it because they've lived it. The weight of those experiences changes a person. It hardens your silence and sharpens your vision. You stop needing to prove anything because you realize how shallow most conversations about success, love, or meaning really are. Most people want comforting answers. They want life to be simple, linear, and explainable. Sigma males, on the other hand, have been down into the chaos, where nothing made sense, where people's morals cracked under pressure, and where loneliness became a weapon and a teacher. They saw the cracks in the human soul, and instead of running from it, they sat with it. That kind of experience doesn't make you louder. It makes you quieter. because you realize how little words can do when the truth is too sharp for most people to hold. And people sense it. They don't know what it is exactly, but they feel it when a Sigma male is in the room. They feel the weight of a man who's fought battles they've never had the courage to face. It's unsettling because it forces them to ask, what has this guy seen that I haven't? Or worse, what am I still running from that he's already faced? But the Sigma male isn't trying to burden anyone with his experiences. He just knows the price of facing reality without filters. And because he carries that weight silently, his presence feels heavier, deeper, and more intense. He doesn't need to impress people with stories of his struggle. The way he carries himself says enough. And in a world where most people hide from their own pain, that quiet honesty hits harder than any speech ever could. Number 3, they don't chase, because they've already won the only game that matters: mastery of self. Sigma males don't chase things because they're not lacking anything inside. Most people spend their lives running after status, approval, relationships, or success because they feel incomplete without them. They think if they just win enough social points, or get noticed by the right crowd, or date the right person, they'll finally feel whole. But Sigma males already fought the only real battle, the one inside their own mind. They faced their insecurities, their fears of rejection, their hunger for validation, and they killed them, one brutal confrontation at a time. That's why they move differently. You won't see them hustling for attention in a crowded room, or desperately trying to fit into a trendy social group, or swiping endlessly on dating apps hoping someone finds them interesting. They've outgrown all of that. To them, it's like watching children play dress-up and argue over who looks cooler. The Sigma male's sense of worth comes from somewhere untouchable. No trophy, no follower count, no relationship status can raise or lower it. And this is exactly why people can't figure them out. In a world obsessed with chasing the next thing, the Sigma male already feels like he's arrived. Not because he has everything, but because he no longer needs everything. That kind of self-mastery is rare and unsettling. People don't know how to control someone who doesn't want what they're offering. This is why Sigmas often confuse the powerful, frustrate the popular, and attract the curious. They aren't rebellious just to rebel. They've simply built a life where they control the rules of engagement. They don't compete for the spotlight because they realize the spotlight itself is a distraction. They don't run in the rat race because they never signed up for it in the first place. They've already won the only game that matters, knowing themselves so deeply that the world's carrots and sticks no longer work on them. That's why they walk through life unchained, untouched by trends, and unfazed by what others think. Number 4, their eyes reflect the calculation of someone who's always 5 moves ahead. There's something about a Sigma male's eyes that makes people pause. It's not aggression, it's not arrogance. It's calculation, calm, steady, and unsettlingly aware. While most people react to whatever life throws at them, Sigma males are already 5 steps past the present moment, quietly laying out the next phase of their plan. They don't just see what's happening now, they're scanning for what nobody else is paying attention to, the subtle shifts, the hidden opportunities, the unspoken intentions behind other people's words. You can't fake that kind of gaze. You can't practice it in front of a mirror or learn it from some confidence coach. It comes from spending years studying life like a chessboard instead of a playground. Sigmas learn from observation, not from being in the spotlight. While others waste time trying to be noticed, Sigmas sit in the corner quietly collecting data, watching how people reveal themselves without realizing it. When you talk to a Sigma, you can feel them analyzing you, not in a judgmental way, but in a surgical way. They're figuring out your patterns, your fears, your contradictions. They're not going to tell you what they've spotted, but make no mistake, they've already filed it away for later use if necessary. It's why people feel exposed around them. That steady, piercing look makes you wonder what they know about you that you don't even know about yourself. But here's what really sets them apart. They don't react emotionally when things go wrong. While others panic, Sigmas quietly adjust. They don't waste energy on drama because they've already gamed out what might happen. And if something unexpected does occur, they adapt on the spot, like a chess player shifting his entire strategy mid-game without breaking a sweat. Their aura is not just about mystery. It's about intelligence, restraint, and cold preparation. While most people live in the noise of now, Sigma males operate in the silence of what's coming next. And people sense that. Even if they don't understand it, they feel the power of someone who's playing an entirely different game, one where the rules aren't visible, but the outcome is already being shaped. Number 5. They see the patterns beneath people's masks. Sigma males don't get caught up in people's surface-level behavior. Where most people see charm, anger, kindness, or arrogance, the Sigma male looks deeper. He doesn't focus on what people say or how they act in the moment. He looks for the patterns behind it. He watches for repeated habits, unconscious reactions, and emotional triggers. And through that quiet observation, he pieces together who someone really is, not who they pretend to be. This is why it's so hard to deceive or manipulate a Sigma male. While others fall for sweet words, fake vulnerability, or flashy charisma, Sigmas have already noticed the cracks in the story. They recognize when someone is using charm as a distraction, when kindness is a strategy, or when anger is just a mask for insecurity. It's not cynicism, it's clarity. They simply refuse to get swept up in the performance most people put on. Manipulators, liars, and social climbers hate this. They're used to people reacting emotionally, falling for their bait, or playing along with their games. But a Sigma male won't play. He won't argue, he won't explain, and he won't take the bait. Instead, he lets the manipulator expose themselves, quietly collecting proof while staying 2 steps ahead. This ability to see the real drivers behind people's actions makes Sigma males unpredictable and, frankly, dangerous to those who thrive on deception. Because how do you manipulate someone who already knows your next move? How do you control someone who isn't reacting to your surface-level tactics, but dissecting the strategy behind them? The truth is, most people wear masks, not because they're evil, but because they're scared of being seen as weak, flawed, or ordinary. Sigma males understand this, but they don't pity it. They simply refuse to play along. And that quiet refusal to engage with people's masks forces the truth to rise to the surface, whether people like it or not. In the end, a Sigma's power comes not from exposing others, but from seeing them so clearly that their games fall apart on their own. Number 6. They don't seek to be liked. They aim to be respected by the few who matter. Sigma males move through life with a very different target in mind. They don't care about being liked by everyone. In fact, they fully expect that most people won't understand them, and they're perfectly fine with that. While most people bend themselves to fit in, chasing likes, compliments, and social comfort, Sigma males only care about connecting with the few people who truly get it. The few sharp minds or rare souls whose respect means something real. They understand a harsh truth most people avoid. Popularity is cheap. You can get it by telling people what they want to hear. You can buy it with fake smiles, endless compromise, and shallow charm. But respect, real respect, that's earned, and it's earned slowly. It comes from who you are when no one's watching, not from what you pretend to be when the lights are on. That's why their respect is rare, and why their approval is even rarer. They don't hand it out like candy. They give it only when they see something real, something deep, something unshakable in a person's character. And because they live by that standard for themselves, they expect the same in others. The result is a strange kind of freedom. Sigma males don't walk into a room wondering, do they like me? They walk in thinking, do I respect anyone here enough to care? It flips the whole power dynamic. Suddenly, the people who are used to being chased for attention are the ones chasing the Sigma male's recognition because they can feel how rare it is. And here's the part most people miss. Sigma males aren't cold or arrogant about this. They're just selective. They're not looking for applause from the crowd. They're looking for resonance with the few who matter. The kind of deep, wordless understanding where no performance is needed. That's why their aura feels so powerful. They're not feeding off the energy of the crowd. They're drawing from a much deeper source. And because their approval is scarce, when they do give respect or connection, it means 10 times more than the approval of someone who flatters everyone they meet. Number 7. They carry a quiet readiness for war, even in times of peace. Sigma males don't live in a constant state of paranoia, but they never let their guard fully down either. While most people relax when things are going well, distracted by comfort and small victories, Sigma males keep a part of themselves sharp, quietly prepared for the moment everything could shift. They've learned, through life experience, that peace is temporary and comfort is a setup. They understand that people change, situations evolve, and stability is an illusion. So while others celebrate, they prepare. This readiness isn't loud. You won't find them pacing around, acting tough, or showing off their strength. It's much quieter and much scarier. It's in the way they stay mentally alert when everyone else has emotionally checked out. It's in the way they can smile during good times but still keep one eye on the exit. And it's in the way they trust peace but never bet their life on it. People sense this even if they can't explain it. They feel the tension behind the Sigma male's calmness, like standing next to a loaded weapon that hasn't been fired yet. It's unsettling because most people aren't used to someone who can go from zero to decisive action without a dramatic build-up. While others hesitate when chaos strikes, Sigma males simply switch gears. No panic, no delay. They've rehearsed those scenarios in their minds long before anyone else saw them coming. This is why their aura feels intense even when they're silent. They carry the quiet pressure of someone who's ready to protect, defend, or walk away without needing a second opinion. And that's what unnerves people. Most live their lives assuming peace is permanent. Sigma males live knowing it's rented, and the rent is always due eventually. That readiness makes them calm in crisis and dangerous in conflict. Not because they love war, but because they never forgot how fast peace can turn to chaos. And that balance between calm presence and quiet preparation gives their aura a weight most people will never carry. Number 8. They leave no weak points exposed. Sigma males move through life like a fortress, strong, silent, and sealed. It's not that they don't have weaknesses. Every human does. But unlike most people, they don't wear their vulnerabilities like open wounds waiting for sympathy. They patch their weak points, guard their emotional blind spots, and think several steps ahead so no one gets close enough to exploit them. This doesn't mean they're cold. It means they're careful. In a world where people casually overshare on social media, beg for validation in conversations, and wear their insecurities like fashion accessories, Sigma males do the opposite. They protect their story, they guard their struggles, and they reveal nothing they haven't already made peace with. Because they know the harsh truth. The world doesn't always reward honesty. Sometimes it punishes it. And people, whether intentionally or not, exploit what you reveal if you're not careful. This creates an invisible tension around them. People instinctively scan others for soft spots, weaknesses, or emotional levers they can use to gain an advantage. But with Sigma males, it's like trying to find a door on a wall with no entrance, no emotional oversharing. No desperate need for attention, no fragile ego screaming to be fed, just quiet confidence built from self-reliance. And that frustrates people. It makes them uncomfortable because most people are used to others cracking open eventually. The Sigma male doesn't. Even in relationships, friendships, or work, they reveal only what's necessary and no more. It's not deception, it's discipline. They've learned that protecting your peace sometimes means guarding your story from people who haven't earned the right to hear it. And because they're so emotionally sealed, people project onto them. They wonder, what's he hiding? Or why can't I figure him out? But the truth is simple. It's not about hiding. It's about protecting. Sigma males would rather be misunderstood than manipulated. They'd rather be silent than overshare for approval. And that ability to hold their center no matter who's watching creates an aura of mystery and quiet power that most people will never understand, but will always feel. Number 9. They don't broadcast pain. They integrate it. Sigma males have experienced pain, betrayal, disappointment, and failure, just like everyone else. But here's the difference. They don't parade their suffering around, hoping someone will give them a gold star for surviving. They don't turn their wounds into social currency. Instead, they take that pain, break it down, study it, and turn it into something useful. They integrate it into their character so it becomes part of their strength, not a scar they beg others to notice. Most people wear their pain like a badge. They want sympathy, understanding, and attention. Their trauma becomes their personality. And because of that, they never fully heal. They stay stuck in a cycle of needing others to constantly affirm their suffering. But Sigma males don't play that game. They don't use pain as an excuse to stay weak. They use it as a forge to become stronger. This is why their presence feels different. People can tell there's depth there, layers of experience, struggle, and hard-earned lessons. But they can't find the usual signs of victimhood. Sigma males aren't looking for pity. They don't make their pain other people's responsibility. Instead, their suffering sits quietly beneath the surface, like steel beneath silk. Always there, shaping them, but never begging for recognition. And that's what makes them magnetic. Because in a world full of people screaming about their hardships, the man who carries his pain without broadcasting it feels rare, almost dangerous. He's proof that you can be wounded without becoming weak, that you can suffer without seeking an audience. People sense that depth, and they respect it, even if it unsettles them. It's hard to manipulate someone who's already made peace with their demons. It's hard to guilt-trip a man who's already forgiven himself. Sigma males walk through life hardened by their pain, but not bitter from it. That quiet power, the integration of suffering, not the performance of it, is what makes their aura so heavy, so real, and so unforgettable. Number 10. They possess dangerous levels of emotional self-control. Sigma males don't just appear calm on the surface, they control their emotions with a discipline most people can't comprehend. It's not the fake calm you see in people who are desperately trying to stay positive or suppress their anger. It's a deeper kind of control, one built from facing their own chaos head-on and learning how to own it rather than be owned by it. Their emotions don't leak out for attention. They don't rant when frustrated, beg when hurt, or celebrate wildly when they win. They absorb it all, process it in silence, and move with clarity. And that's what unnerves people. Most are predictable. You can tell when they're annoyed, excited, scared, or insecure. You can push their buttons and expect a reaction. But Sigma males? You can't predict them because they don't wear their emotional states where you can see them. They could be feeling 100 things and still look calm, focused, and steady. That restraint makes people wonder, if he's holding that much in, what else is he capable of? It's a quiet unpredictability, not reckless, not chaotic, just unreadable. And in a world where people's faces and voices constantly betray their true feelings, someone who can control his own emotional broadcast becomes a mystery no one can solve. That's why some people are drawn to them, and others are threatened by them. Emotional self-control is power, and Sigma males wield it with deadly precision. This control doesn't mean they don't feel things. They do, deeply, but they choose when, where, and how those feelings influence their actions. That's rare. Most people are slaves to their emotions, reacting instantly to every trigger. Sigma males are the opposite. They feel the storm but choose whether to sail through it, wait it out, or steer around it entirely. And because of this, they become incredibly difficult to manipulate. Emotional manipulation depends on provoking a reaction. But when someone refuses to react, the manipulator loses their power. That's why the Sigma's emotional restraint isn't just calmness, it's dangerous. It makes them unpredictable, unshakable, and in control of their own fate. Number 11, they don't belong anywhere. And that's their superpower. Sigma males live on the edge of society, not because they've been kicked out, but because they chose to walk away. They don't crave belonging the way most people do. While others are desperately searching for a tribe to accept them, a group to validate them, or a movement to give them purpose, Sigma males already found their purpose within themselves. Belonging isn't necessary when you've built a world you can stand in alone. That's what gives them a strange kind of power. Most people are easy to control because they fear exile. They fear being left out, unfollowed, cancelled, or ignored. They conform to fit the group, bend their opinions to match the crowd, and silence their instincts just to keep their place at the table. But Sigma males don't care about the table. They'll burn the table down if it means keeping their freedom intact. And the world senses that. People instinctively notice when someone can't be controlled through shame, peer pressure, or social rewards. It makes the Sigma male unpredictable and, in some ways, dangerous. Because if you can't lure him with approval or threaten him with rejection, how do you control him at all? The answer is you can't. This detachment doesn't mean he hates people. It means he doesn't need them. And in a world addicted to likes, followers, and applause, that kind of emotional independence feels almost supernatural. The Sigma male could be surrounded by people or completely alone. It doesn't change who he is. He belongs to himself first, and that kind of belonging can't be revoked by anyone else. But here's the secret. Being at home in exile isn't lonely for the Sigma. It's liberating, because when you stop needing a place in the crowd, you gain something the crowd never has: clarity. You can see the lies people tell themselves to fit in, the compromises they make to feel safe, and the silent desperation behind their smiles. And that's why his aura feels powerful. He's not part of the system, and the system knows it. He's immune to its rewards and untouchable by its punishments. That kind of man can't be bought, controlled, or broken, and that's his greatest weapon. Number 12. They move through spaces like ghosts, yet leave footprints on people's minds. Sigma males don't walk into a room needing to be noticed. They don't demand attention. They don't dominate conversations, and they don't flood the space with energy to prove their worth. Instead, they move quietly, almost invisibly, observing more than they speak. And yet, somehow, their presence is felt. Even after they leave, people replay their words, their expressions, or sometimes just the silence they left behind. It's not charisma in the traditional sense. Charisma is loud, showy, designed to attract. What Sigma males have is presence, quiet, steady, and hard to shake off. They leave an imprint on people's minds because they didn't try to impress anyone. Instead, they forced people to sit with their own thoughts. Maybe it was something they said in passing that exposed a hidden truth. Maybe it was a question they asked that no one else was brave enough to say out loud. Or maybe it was the way they didn't speak when everyone else was scrambling to be heard. That absence of noise makes people curious. Most people fill silence because they're afraid of what it reveals. Sigma males embrace it, and people feel that difference. Their energy stays in the air like a lingering question no one quite knows how to answer. And what's more intriguing, they don't care whether anyone remembers them or not. That's exactly why they're unforgettable. People spend their lives trying to be liked, remembered, praised. Sigma males simply show up as they are, say what needs to be said or say nothing at all, and leave. No explanations, no self-promotion, no lingering for applause, but the impact lasts. Days later, someone will suddenly realize, I can't stop thinking about that one thing he said, or, why did his silence bother me more than anyone else's words? Sigma males plant thoughts in people's minds without effort. It's not manipulation, it's clarity cutting through the noise. And that's why, even when they're gone, they aren't really gone. Their presence echoes in people's thoughts, forcing them to reflect, question, and sometimes confront things they weren't ready to face. In a world obsessed with noise, attention, and approval, Sigma males stand as a silent contradiction. They don't seek validation. They don't play the social games that exhaust everyone else. And they don't mold themselves to fit the crowd's expectations. Instead, they operate by their own code, quietly powerful, dangerously self-sufficient, and deeply unpredictable. What makes their aura so powerful isn't loudness or charm. It's the weight of what they've survived, the discipline they've mastered, and the calm they've built in a chaotic world. They carry their scars like armor, their solitude like strength, and their silence like a sword. People may not always understand them, but they feel them. Whether it's their quiet emotional control, their ability to walk away without warning, or their refusal to be owned by anyone's approval, Sigma males leave a mark that lingers long after they've left the room. And perhaps that's the greatest power of all, not needing the world to notice you, yet leaving a dent in its soul anyway. If you've made it this far, you're probably not just curious about Sigma males. You're trying to build that kind of unshakable presence in your own life. And here's the brutal truth. It's not easy, and it's not for everyone. But if you're willing to fight the war inside yourself, Master your emotions and walk your own path without applause. You'll find a freedom most people will never taste. If this spoke to something real in you, hit that like button, drop a comment sharing your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more brutally honest content on power, presence, and the rare few who stand alone. Share this with someone who needs to stop chasing the crowd and start mastering themselves. Your silence can be your greatest power if you learn how to wield it.